Welcome to the Resilient Retail Game Plan, a podcast for anyone wanting to start, grow or scale a profitable creative product business with me, Catherine Erdley. The Resilient Retail Game Plan is a podcast dedicated to one thing, breaking down the concepts and tools that I've gathered from 20 years in the retail industry and showing you how you can use them in your business. This is the real nuts and bolts of running a successful product business, broken down in an easy, accessible way. This is not a podcast about learning how to make your business look good. It's the tools and techniques that will make you and your business feel good. Confidently plan, launch and manage your products, and feel in control of your sales numbers and cash flow to help you build a resilient retail business. Welcome. It is episode 8 of the Resilient Retail Game Plan. My name is Catherine Erdley. I'm your host, as well as the founder of the Resilient Retail Club. The Resilient Retail Club is my membership group for creative product businesses, and it is dedicated to helping you start, scale, and grow profitable product businesses. And you can find out more at resilientretail.com. If you are listening to this and you are on Instagram, why not tag me at Future Retail UK and show me where you're listening? I just want to say again, a huge thank you for tuning in. I've been absolutely blown away by the number of people who have been listening to the podcast, and I am just delighted, and I thank each and every one of you. So without further ado, I'd like to move on to the topic of today's episode, which is all about 4 ways to grow your sales for your product business. The focus here is on thinking about the big picture. I'm going to walk you through 4 different ways, or the only 4 ways that you can grow your sales in your product business. And together, they will help you formulate a complete sales strategy. As you know, as a product business owner, there are just so many things that you have to juggle. You have to take on every single different aspect of running the business when you first start out, whether it's customer service or fulfillment, curating them, having them manufactured. It can be so overwhelming and can pull you into the detail in such a way that you find it really difficult to actually see the big picture. So this episode is dedicated to that big picture, especially when it comes to sales. What I'm going to talk you through is I'm going to go through the customer journey. I'm going to go through what the only 4 ways are to grow your sales. And I'm going to talk a little bit to you about tracking your progress. Now, if you are a member of the Resilient Retail Club, then a lot of what we're talking about in this episode is reflected in the Grow Your Sales course. So if you haven't had a chance to dive into that yet, that is a 6-week course, and it goes through all of the different 4 ways of growing your sales in lots of detail and gives you lots of ideas and tools that you can use to implement in your own business. So check it out if you are a member. Let's start then with thinking about the customer journey, because thinking about the customer journey helps you really put these 4 ways of growing your sales into a clearer context. The customer journey is sometimes called a sales funnel. If you've been working in digital marketing or promoting your business online for a while, you've probably heard about sales funnels. You may have even negative connotations about them because they're sometimes associated with slightly more aggressive ways of marketing online. But frankly, a sales funnel is just another word for the customer journey, which maybe if you prefer that, we can work with that term. But basically, it's just about the steps that somebody goes through from being completely unaware of your business to being a buyer. So if we think about the customer journey, then your customers start off as somebody who's completely unaware of your business. There are 7 billion people in this world, and the vast majority of them have never, ever even heard of you. So your very first task when it comes to getting somebody to purchase from you is you have to move them from being unaware to being aware. So you have to let them know that you exist. After you've made them aware, you have to get them interested in what you're doing. After you've got them interested, you have to arguably get them to make the biggest leap, which is going from being interested into being a buyer. So that means that they actually give you their money. They put their PayPal details or their credit card details into your website and they make the purchase. And this is a major step in the customer journey, because it really proves that this person is somebody who is not just interested in your products, but they actually have built up enough know, like, and trust about you as a business owner and about your products to actually give you some money. Then the next steps of the journey go from being a buyer to being a repeat buyer. And then from being a repeat buyer, then it goes to being a super fan. So a super fan is somebody who is just absolutely in love with your business. They follow you. They purchase your new products when they come out. They buy your products for friends as gifts. They will share pictures of themselves using their products on social media, and they will tell your brand story for you and advocate for you with their friends and family. And these people are absolutely critical for your business, because word of mouth is the most powerful form of marketing. Let's face it, if you were looking for a plumber for your washing machine, then you could go onto a website that lists plumbers and have reviews, all the rest of it. You could Google plumbers in my local area and have a look at the listings there. But if you say to your friend, oh, I need a plumber, and they say, my plumber's fantastic, use them, you're going to use the friend's recommendation. So word of mouth is absolutely critical to growing your business. In fact, there's a theory that you need 1,000 fans. If you had 1,000 people in your business, you don't need an endless number of people to have a successful business. If you had 1,000 super fans in your business, people who absolutely love what you do, will tell people about you, will buy everything that you put out, then just think about what a transformative effect that would have on your business. So those super fans are really what you're aiming to create. Almost everything that you do in your business should be aimed towards creating those super fans. Now, with the advent of digital marketing, social media, online selling, the number of touch points, it used to be people would say, oh, you need sort of 3 to 7 touch points before somebody buys. Latest figures are suggesting that number has gone up and up and up. So it's potentially 15 to 20 touch points, even just to get somebody to go from being unaware to being a buyer. So think about that. Whenever you're nervous about repeating yourself on your social media, or you're nervous about putting yourself out there again, just think about the fact that you need so many touch points to move somebody from being unaware of your business to being a buyer. And that really only comes through thinking about your sales strategy in a more coherent and systematic way. So with that in mind, the only 4 ways to grow your sales in your product business are, number 1, to get more people to come. That means to get more people to move from being unaware to aware. To get more visitors to buy. So that's moving people from being interested to being a buyer. The 3rd way is to persuade people to spend more when they do come. The 4th way is to get people to come back more often and to purchase with you more frequently. So an effective sales strategy, if you think about this, if you're a product business, then an effective sales strategy will really need to cover all 4 of these methods. And probably the biggest mistake that I see is that people get really, really focused in on the first one. So they get really focused on getting more people to come. They get obsessed with their follow account. They get obsessed with how many people are coming to their website. They get obsessed with all of these things, which are, in all honesty, effectively vanity metrics. In other words, they're numbers that you can track in your business, and maybe they make you feel good if they're moving in the right direction, but it's not necessarily the same as them actually moving the needle for your business. So if you think about it, then often the more effective methods for growing your sales are really to do with those sort of 2, 3, and 4. So getting more people to buy when they do come, persuading people to spend more, and getting people to come back more often. These are all really important because they're talking about getting more out of the people who are coming to your business, rather than focusing just on getting more and more people to come to your business without thinking about what you do with them once they've arrived. Just before we go any further though, I know I've covered this in previous episodes, but I have to say again, if you're thinking about your sales strategy, I will still stand by the fact that the best sales strategy you can possibly have in your product business is to have great products. So a best sales strategy is a great product strategy because that just really helps with everything. If you've got great products, then it really helps with word of mouth. It will help people become interested more quickly. It will help them move to being buyers more quickly. And it will also encourage them to come back and they'll spend more and they'll be more loyal just because you have great products. So although I'm going to be talking to you about this strategy, I do just want you to keep that in the back of your mind that one of the ways I've seen people working on their strategy, but that actually when they really focus in on the product and they get that product right, that's when it all kind of accelerates. So in an ideal world, you'll do both. You'll have fantastic product and you'll also be looking at all 4 ways of growing your sales instead of focusing simply on the top of the funnel. So let's run through these 4 methods in a little bit more detail. So the first one then, method 1, getting more people to come. So this method is quite frankly the most expensive, difficult, and time-consuming method because you're relying on getting cold traffic into the top of the funnel. It's what, as I said, most people's first thought. It is important as you grow that you get this sort of constant stream of fresh traffic coming into your business, but it is not the only way. As I said, it is expensive and time consuming because you often have to pay, for example, getting paid traffic, whereas some of the other methods we're going to talk about are about using the customers that you already have, and therefore they are more profitable. So this method number 1, it's the least profitable because you've got to get out there and get that cold traffic into the top of your funnel. Also, another thing to think about, this is a long-term game. There's not really short fixes when it comes to getting more people to come to your business. As I'm sure most of you know who've been building a product business, then it does take time and it takes consistent effort over a number of weeks, months, or even years in order to build up a decent amount of traffic and to grow your business. But there are lots of different ways that you can get more people to come to your business, and it's worth thinking about tapping into all of these when you want to grow your sales. As I said, a complete sales strategy will not just focus on the 4 different elements that we talked about, but they'll also have a plan for all of the different ways, for example, you could get more people to come. So some of the basic things you need to do to get people to come to your business then, SEO, search engine optimization, to find a way of making that work for you. Search engine optimization is important because over 50% of the purchases that are made online are made as a result of a Google search. That means somebody types a product into Google and then they find something pop up and they purchase it. If your website is not optimized for that search, then you could be missing out on potentially 50% of all of the traffic that exists, or for 50% of all of the purchasing that happens online. SEO, though, it is it's not complicated as much, but it is a very specialized subject. So you need to work out if you're going to teach yourself it, if you're going to have some kind of halfway house like a plugin or a subscription service that will tell you what to focus on, or whether you're going to pay someone to handle your SEO for you. But by hook or by crook, it needs to be part of your sales strategy. Another thing that you need to focus on is email marketing. This is really important when it comes to encouraging people and making the most of the people who do come to your business. Social media definitely is a way that a lot of people are using to drive people to their business. And it is really, really important. However, I hope if anything you take away from this episode, it will be the realization that social media is just one tactic and it is not a wholesale strategy. There are other ways to get people to come. For example, brand building through PR or collaborations. You can also get more people to see your business simply by being in more places. So whether that's through wholesaling to other retailers, being on marketplaces, marketplace websites, or through experimenting with physical retail. And then finally, you can use paid traffic, whether that's social media advertising, pay-per-click, or even influencer marketing. These are all ways to get more people to come to your business. What I will say about paid traffic is there's a couple of things. Number one, it is a really effective way of growing your traffic to your business. However, it is only effective if you have first established that your business is converting correctly, that you've got products that your customer wants. Social media, or paid traffic, I should say, it's just like having a megaphone. You're saying the same thing, but you're saying it louder and to more people. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that what you're saying into that megaphone is actually effective before you go ahead and use paid traffic. And the second thing I would say about paid traffic is kind of like SEO. It is a specialist subject. So make sure that you're getting some kind of training or some kind of assistance with your paid traffic, as opposed to trying to do it all by yourself, because you run the risk of it being ad hoc and sporadic. And that's a very quick way to start burning through some cash. So there are all then the ways to get more people to come to your business: SEO, email marketing, social media, brand building, more sales channels, and paid traffic. Okay, so then the second method is getting more visitors to buy when they do come. This is also known as improving your conversion rate. So your conversion rate, when you're talking about a physical space or a website, is quite simply the number of transactions that happen, number of purchases divided by the number of visitors. If you've got a shop, 5 people buy, but 10 people came into the shop, then your conversion rate is 5 out of those 10, which is 50%. If you have a website and 100 people visit it and 2 people buy, then you will have a conversion rate of 2%. That's 2 purchases out of 100 visitors. So online conversion rate for a typical website is around 2%. And then offline conversion rate, so if we're talking about a pop-up or a shop, it's typically around 30 to 50%. So if you think about this, growing your conversion rate is a very, very powerful way for you to grow your sales at no additional cost to you as a business owner. If you have 100 people who come to your website, then you have worked really hard through all of the methods that we talked about in the first section to drive those people to your website. However, it has cost you time or money or both to drive those people there. And if only one of them is purchasing, that gives you a 1% conversion rate. If you could then persuade, in fact, 2 people to purchase when they come, you would be doubling your sales without any additional visitors. And in other words, without any additional spend on your marketing or time that you had to spend driving people to your website. So your conversion is an absolutely critical part of your success as a product business, and it is worth spending some time thinking about how you can improve it. Now, funnily enough, one of the things that can work really well for growing conversion, for example, if you are in a physical space, can be quite simply something like customer service, asking people if they're finding what they want. If you're on a website, that can also work if you can have a little pop-up chat bot, for example, that helps point people in the right direction. I often think that there's 2 types of conversion issues. There's structural conversion issues, so especially on a website, this is about things like it takes too long to click through from products from the homepage to the product page. There's problems at the checkout where people having to jump through too many hoops in order to check out. There could be other structural issues or functional issues, if you like, where things like the features and benefits aren't that clear, or the photos or the descriptions are not that clear either on the website. So all of those things will hurt your conversion. Your conversion rate improves the easier you make it for your customer to make a decision about your product. So that's one type of conversion issue, the kind of structural, if you like, or technical conversion issues where there's just information missing, or it's just too tricky for the customer to get to the checkout, or there's something that's a barrier that's coming up. Maybe you're asking them to create an account before they check out, for example, which will slow down the process. But here's the other thing that is useful to think about when it comes to conversion, and that is, do you have what your customer wants? And are you featuring it prominently enough? So, for example, your homepage is the most valuable real estate or the most valuable space on your website. And therefore, you want to put in the most prominent position the items that you feel are most likely to sell at that particular point. Now, it could be your best sellers. It could be that you always want to feature your best sellers because that makes it easier for your customer to see them, to spot them, and they're more likely to purchase them, which will drive up your conversion. But the other thing to think about is, what is it at this time of year? You basically want your homepage to be reflecting what your customer is most likely to buy right now. It's often fairly straightforward. If it's in the run up to Christmas, that will be your Christmas products. If it's the run up to Mother's Day, it will be your Mother's Day gift options or Valentine's Day gifts, depending on the time of year. So if you're struggling with your conversion, then ask yourself those two things. Are there any structural issues on the website that need to be looked at? Are there any improvements that I can make into things like photos or features and benefits? And then, do I have what my customer wants? And am I making it easy enough for them to find it? As I said, the rewards that you can reap from improving your conversion are just absolutely phenomenal. So it's worth playing around. The beauty of having a website is that you can try different things. So why not keep an eye on your conversion and try a few different things to see if you can help boost it? So the third method to grow your sales then is to get each person to spend more when they do come. So in a similar way, if you think about this, let's say you have the same number of people coming to your website, you have the same conversion rate, 2 people out of every 100 are buying, but each person when they make a purchase, they're spending 10% more than they were previously. Well, in that case, your sales grow by 10% without anything else going on at all. So there are some key figures that you can think about tracking, for example, that will help you understand if you're maximizing the amount of money that people are spending every time they buy. One of the key numbers that you can track is your average transaction value. This is sometimes known as your basket value. If you've got any sort of decent analytics on your website, it will no doubt tell you what the basket value is. But if you don't have that, you need to take the amount of sales that you took and divide it by the number of transactions that took place. So, for example, if you took £524 across 13 customers or 13 sales, then your average transaction value would be 524 divided by 13, which would be £40. So calculating and looking at your average transaction value is a really important way for you to focus in on growing your sales or growing the amount that each person is spending when they shop with you. So it is a really great representation of how much money each customer spends, and I would suggest that you track your average transaction value at least once a month. The benefit of tracking it once a month is that you're not trying to follow it on a day-to-day basis because it will fluctuate from day to day and from purchase to purchase, but it gives you a benchmark so you can see if you're doing any work to grow your average transaction value, then is it being effective? Are you actually moving it in the right direction? And once again, actually growing your average transaction value, customer service can really come into this as well, because suggestive selling or making suggestions, which is both useful to your customer, but also helps grow your average transaction value. That's why many websites have the feature where you can tell people what they might also like, for example. It also really helps, we'll talk more about loyalty in a minute, but building rapport over time with your customers and getting them to come back and buy from you more frequently, that actually also really helps with growing your average transaction value because repeat customers will be spending more. Another thought about average transaction values, there's lots and lots of different ways and techniques and tactics that you can employ to grow your average transaction value. But another reason, if you like, that it's useful to have this information is that you can create then promotions around your spending limits. So let's say you want to offer a free shipping promotion. You'd want to understand how much money people are currently actually spending. Let's say they currently spend £33. Then if you say free shipping over 50, for example, you may not get that many people taking you up on it because it's quite a leap for most of your customers. But let's say your average transaction value is 33, and then you say, actually, free shipping over £35, that actually might be more effective because most people will just add a few little extra bits or push up, or maybe £40, for example, because it's closer to what your average transaction value is already. So average transaction value, really, really useful. Really important. Again, this is not the flashy stuff. This is not like, look at me, I've got more followers, or look at me, I've grown my traffic, or any of those metrics. But it's just little things like this, these small tweaks. This is actually what really can grow the sales and the profits as well. Because any time that you're growing your sales from your existing customers or customers who are already be coming to you, rather than spending money to get new customers, then this will really benefit your bottom line. And if you want any more proof of the importance of growing that average transaction value, then just to let you know that retail businesses spend so much time and effort thinking about things like queue lines. So the products that are in a shop, for example, along the place where the customers are queuing, because they know those are the ones where people are most likely to pick them up and pop them in their basket. Or till points. Till points is another area where retail businesses are really focused on just those small extra add-on purchases, because an extra £1 or £2 per customer may not sound like a big dramatic shift, but in terms of your sales and your profitability, if you can make those shifts, then it will have a really big impact on your business. So then method 4, getting customers to come back more often. This is really all about growing your loyalty, and loyalty is really the key to success in your product business. This method, getting people to come back more frequently or building loyalty, it's the most cost effective. Nobody is more likely to buy from you than someone who has already bought from you. So it may sound really obvious, but it's worth saying and thinking about that again. There is nobody in this world, if you think about those 7 billion people in this world, nobody's more likely to buy from you than the people who've already bought from you. So you think about, you've moved some of those 7 billion from being unaware to being aware. You've got them interested. You've got them to take that leap, to give them your credit card details and to make a purchase. And of course, you've delighted them with the product and the service and the aftercare, as it were, from your product, from their purchase. So they are now on their way to becoming a fan, and it's going to be easier for you to get those people to purchase from you than anybody else. So if you had 2 people, one of them is in the unaware category, and one of them is somebody who's already purchased from you, then hands down, the person who's already purchased from you is going to be the one who's going to be so much easier for you to make that sale to. And not only are they easier to sell to, they're also going to be spending more, because there are so many studies that show that customers who are repeat customers spend up to 2/3 more on average than a customer who is brand new. So your first-time customers are not as profitable as your repeat customers. So one of the big tricks that people miss when they're building their product business, as I said, they get so focused on the top of the funnel, and then people become purchasers, they become people who've bought from them, and then they don't go back to those people, those really warm leads, hot leads, if you like, people who definitely would be interested in buying from them again. They don't go back and remarket specifically to them, or they don't treat them as a sort of a separate group or a special group, and they don't give them their full attention. So I don't know if this resonates with you or not. Or maybe you already have something in for building loyalty, but actually building that loyal customer is going to be one of the most profitable ways for you to grow your sales. And it also helps turn them into super fans, because people love being recognized. They love it when people reach out and thank them for their purchase. They love VIP perks, or maybe a little discount for some of the people who are your best customers. There's also a stat that suggests that 40% of your sales are going to be coming from just 8% of your customers. So if you think about that, that's absolutely huge. That's saying that your entire business is built on just a really small number of customers. So it's worth taking the time to Not just think about your customers as like a big block of sort of just numbers or email addresses, but actually think about them as individuals. And if you can almost have that conversation almost on an individual basis with your customers, your existing customers, and that will help you really maximize this extremely warm and profitable group of people. So there's lots of ways for you to encourage loyalty. As I mentioned, there's that personal touch. Can you send them a message or a DM and ask them how they're enjoying their product? Can you create special offers just for your most loyal customers? Can you use a loyalty scheme? So for example, if you're a Shopify user, there's Loyalty Lion, which allows you to very quickly set up a scheme to reward your most loyal customers. But other ways that you can encourage loyalty is things like co-creation. So co-creation is a big buzzword in retail. It's really about inviting your customers or your fans to help you produce your products. You may already be doing some of this. That's going on Instagram and saying, which color do you like the best, pink or green? It's getting them to submit ideas. It's asking them questions, asking them their opinions, canvassing what they want to see from you next, and then doing what they ask for, which is very exciting. People really love it. They're much more likely to buy if they said, I think you should do the pink one and not the blue one, and then you go ahead and do the pink one. People are much more likely to buy it thinking, yes, I had a part in creating that. So co-creation is a really great way to not only encourage loyalty, but also to have some fun and get some really good input from your customers. The other thing is user-generated content. So how can you incentivize or encourage your loyal customers to start thinking about sharing your business with others? Can you have, for example, competitions or encourage them to tag you in their user-generated content and offer them a discount if they, for example, use your hashtag or tag you on a post where they're using your product? So lots of interesting, exciting ways that you can think about reaching out to those people who've already bought from you. And as I said before, this is probably one of the most effective and one of the least expensive ways for you to grow your sales. It's because you're just simply going back to your warmest audience and engaging with them again. So in an ideal world then, as I said at the beginning, really you would put together a sales plan that covers all 4 areas. There's nothing else that you take away from this episode, then I just want you to really think about the fact that there are so many different ways for you to grow your sales. It's not just about showing up on Instagram, for example. It's about having a system that looks at your sales funnel, that looks at the customer's journey through that funnel, and looks at having specific ways of talking to them at each different stage. So understanding if your content is really there to encourage a sale or if it's there to move someone from being aware of you to being interested. And again, if the key message here is don't forget about your warmest leads. So many people fall into that trap of getting focused on the top of the funnel, getting more people in at the top, but you want to really focus on those people who are further down, especially the ones who've already made the leap and purchased from you. The other thing I would suggest is that you keep an eye on those key numbers. Track your conversion rate once a month. Track your average transaction value. Understand what's happening in your business. And as I said, this is really the sort of basis for my Grow Your Sales course that I run within the Resilient Retail Club, or that's available to all Resilient Retail Club members. We go through a lot of detail about all of these different parts of growing your sales, and we talk about the key figures to track as well. So again, if you're a member, then definitely check out the Grow Your Sales course if you want to know more information about what we talked about today. And so that's it. Thank you again so much for tuning in. It is a pleasure to have you as a listener. I really, really appreciate it. How do you grow sales in your business? I would love to know. Why not send me a DM on Instagram at Future Retail UK and tell me, what is your biggest takeaway? Do you feel like you're focused just on that first element, or do you feel like actually you have put things into place in your business to grow your sales in multiple ways? Of course, I would love to see where you're listening, so do tag me when you're listening. And it would also be amazing anytime you rate, review, the podcast. It helps me enormously. And why not subscribe so that you can hear about new episodes as soon as they are released. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, then I invite you to check out resilientretail.com. The Resilient Retail Club is the membership for anyone wanting to start, grow, or scale a profitable product business. No more trawling Google trying to find the answers to your questions or wading through general business advice that speaks mainly to service-based businesses. Whether you're still at the idea stage or you've been going for a while but want to get more focused and organised when it comes to your business, with a library of courses tailored to creative product businesses, several live sessions a month, and a supportive and active community, the Resilient Retail Club is the perfect membership to help you hit your goals faster. Check it out at resilientretail.com.